Isang awit ng Pilipinas.
Kayang mag-ibig, ewas ang sinakanan, alam ng puso, sa titik mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, tuyag ka ng magiting, sa mandulupin, di ka pasisingil, sa nanatagtulog sa simoy at sa langit mong pagaw, ay hinatang tulad, awit sa pagkayang minamahal. Ang isang ng matawad mo'y tagumpay na nag-iingin, makituwing at araw niya kailan pamay di magtitingin. Luman ang araw ng walhagit pagsinta, buhay langit sa piling mo. Ang inigaya na pagkay mga api, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
O Diyos, aming amang makapangyarihan sa lahat, kami po ay lumalapit sa inyong harapan sa pagkakataong ito. Pinupuri ka, nadakila ka, dahil ikaw ang aming Diyos na may gawa ng langit at lupa. Nais po naming idalangin sa inyo ang gawain na ito, na kami ay pangunahan ng banal na Espiritu Santo, na maging malinaw para sa bawat isa anumang bagay na tatalakayin. Nadalain ko na maging maayos ang presentasyon, ang bawat detalye ng tatalakayin ay maunawaan ng bawat isang makikinig. Nang sa gayon, ito po ay maging kapakipakinabang para sa aming paaralan, para sa ikabubuti ng sistema ng pamamalakad ng paaralan, at para na rin sa ikaayos ng taong panuruan. Maraming salamat, Panginoon, sa pagkakataong ito na kayo po ang aming Diyos na siyang may kakayahan na maging matagumpay at mapagpala ang bawat isang makikinig o manonood. Maraming salamat po sa pagkakataong ito. Sa iyo namin binabalik ang lahat ng papuri at salamat sa pangalan ng iyong anak si Jesus. Amen.
Homeroom Guidance Program in this crisis situation. Para po lubos nating maintindihan kung para saan ang school-based orientation na ito at ang implementation po ng ating homeroom guidance, atin pong anyayahan ang ating guidance coordinator, Mr. Eusebio Soberano Jr.
Magandang araw po sa lahat ng mga kaguruan ng General Emilia Aguinaldo National High School, maging po sa ating punong guro na si Lerma V. Peña, sa lahat po ng mga department heads, sa mga co-chairs. So, andito po kami upang ibaba ang Division Memorandum Number 196, Series 2020, entitled Reiterations of Policy Guidelines on the Implementations of Homeroom Guidance During Crisis Situation. This is in response po doon po sa DepEd Memorandum CI-2020-CO155 with the same title. So, homeroom guidance focuses on 3 domains. Number 1 is the academic development. Number 2 is personal and social development. And number 3 is the career development. So, yung pong academic development, it pertains po doon sa communication skills, problem solving ng mga learners. Sa personal and social development naman po, ito yung kung paano makipag-communicate ang mga learners sa kapwa nila learners, sa community at sa mga teachers. Ang career development naman po, ito yung mga career path, kung ano yung gusto ng mga bata na kanilang tatahakin kapag sila ay nakatapos ng grade 10. The Department of Education's goal, number 1, to produce holistically developed Filipinos who are able to understand themselves. Number 2, home problem solving skills. Number 3, make informal decisions. Number 4, achieve academic success. Number 5, plan for their future and respect individual differences. Ano pa yung tinatawag na homeroom guidance philosophy? Homeroom guidance believes that every learner is unique and has the ability to develop herself using her own learning and experiences from family, community, school, and society. This shall be realized through the collaborative efforts of family, school, government, and other institutions. Homeroom Guidance Vision. Homeroom Guidance shall complement the department's goal, which is produce holistically developed Filipinos who are able to achieve academic success, demonstrate healthy behavior, exemplify positive disposition, and systematically plan their future. It shall produce learners who can work for the common good of society while upholding the international standards. And what is Homeroom Guidance mission? Homeroom Guidance is dedicated to address the academic, personal, social, and career development needs of the learners in a developmental, comprehensive, and proactive manner. This shall be realized through the collaborative efforts of family, school, community, government, and other institutions. Curriculum Framework of Homeroom Guidance Program. So meron po tayong legal basis ng Homeroom Guidance Program. Andito po siya. Meron din theoretical basis. So kung gusto niyo pong babasa yung full details, nakapost naman po siya doon sa GEANHS DTR. So Homeroom Guidance Most Essential Learning Competencies or MELCs. 75% of the Homeroom MELCs are from personal social development domain. 20% of the Homeroom Guidance MELCs are from academic development domain, and 5% of Homeroom Guidance MELCs are from the career development domain with a total of 100%. So meron po tayo mga gagamiting form para sa pag-i-evaluate at pag-monitor. Meron pong form na gagamitin ang division level para po i-monitor ang school at meron din naman po na gagamitin sa school level na kung saan i-evaluate po ng assigned guidance teacher ang class advisor. Ito po yung example ng monitoring tool na gagamitin ng guidance teacher para sa class advisor. Homeroom Guidance Learners Development Assessment. Ito naman po yung form na gagamitin para ma-assess ng class advisors ang mga bata. Okay, so ngayon naman papakinggan natin ang mga assigned guidance teachers para sa MELCs sa bawat quarter
Salamat po Sir JR para sa maliwanag na explanation ng mga legal basis at memos na kung saan naka-align ang ating Homeroom Guidance Program. To further explain all the STRAD competencies including MELCs sa program na ito, natawagan ko si Sir Doncilio, ang ating grade 8 guidance teacher para sa kanyang first quarter explanation.
Magandang araw po. Ang ipapaliwanag ko po ngayong araw na ito ay ang Homeroom Guidance Program first quarter. Ang first quarter po natin ng Homeroom Guidance Program ay binubuo po ng 3 standard, 6 na competency at 8 MELC or Most Essential Learning Competency. Sa isang MELC po, isang linggo po yon. Bali, each MELC ay gagawin po yon ng 1 hour sa isang linggo. Sa first quarter po, ang unang standard po natin, understand the knowledge, skills, and positive attitude for the achievement of optimum learning in school and daily living. May dalawang equivalent po na competency doon. Ang unang competency po doon ay identify the methods of effective study habits toward lifelong learning. Ang equivalent po na MELC nito, MELC number 1 ay describe different effective learning methods being employed. Ito po ay equivalent sa week 1 natin. So, bali gagawin po ito ng homeroom sa unang linggo ng klase natin at 1 oras po ito sa isang linggo. Sa pangalawang competency po ng unang standard, ang second competency po ay sure knowledge, skills, and positive attitude helpful in lifelong learning. Ang equivalent po nito ng MELC number 2 ay demonstrate the ability to independently deal with personal tasks and actively participate in school activities. Gagawin po ito sa week 2 ng klase sa homeroom. Okay. Ang pangalawang standard po, ito po ay ang understand the importance of oneself and others. Meron po ditong competency na value oneself at binubuo po ito ng 3 MELC. Ang third MELC po nito sa pangalawang competency ay determine the importance of oneself as part of the family and community. At ito pa ay gagawin sa pangatlong linggo. Ang pang-apat po na MELC na katumbas pa rin ng pangalawang competency natin, pangatlong competency rather, ito po ay ang exhibit self-discipline at ito po ay gagawin sa week 4. At ang panglimang MELC po natin, manage personal changes toward self-appreciation ay gagawin po sa week 5. Ang kasunod po natin na competency na under pa rin ng pangalawang standard, ito po ay ang respect individual differences. Ang equivalent po nito na MELC na pang-anim ay value the similarities and differences among the culture and beliefs. At ito po ay gagawin sa pang-anim na linggo sa homeroom guidance. Ang susunod po na competency, ito po ay gain understanding of oneself and others. At ang equivalent po nito na MELC ay number 7, strengthening the relationships to others by responsibly fulfilling familial duties. At gagawin po ito sa week number 7. At ang pangatlo at panghuling standard po natin, understand the importance of knowledge, skills, and positive attitude helpful to daily living and the relation to life and profession. Ang katumbas po nito na mga competency ay identify factors related to life and profession. At kasunod nito na MELC, katumbas yan na MELC rather, MELC number 8, identify relationship of gender, family, force, media, and socioeconomic status in choosing profession. Ito po ay gagawin sa pang-8 linggo. Ang susunod po na i-discuss nito ay ang pangalawang or second quarter.
Salamat po Sir Sir Dencilio para sa explanation ng ating first quarter. Ngayon naman po ating tunghayan ang second quarter homeroom guidance sa pangunguna po ng ating grade 7 guidance teacher, Mr. Ray Dehani.
Magandang araw po sa ating lahat. Ngayon po ay aking tatalakayin ang pangalawang quarter. So meron po tayong 3 standard sa second quarter, 7 competency sa second quarter, at meron tayong 10 most essential learning competencies. So ang una po ay ang analyze the relevance of experiences in school and community toward academic success. So sa unang standard, meron po tayong 2 competency. Ang una, share the lessons learned from school and community that can be used in daily living. At yung pangalawa na competency, apply lessons from home, school, and community to daily living with consideration to family and society. So sa most essential learning competency naman, ang number 1 po ay share to others the knowledge gained from school and community beneficial in life. This is for week 1. And number 2, demonstrate how to develop strengths and overcome weaknesses. This is for week 2. Then, next standard naman po ay analyze responsible decisions and goals toward achievement of personal welfare and common good. At ang kanyang katumbas naman nito na competency ay ang examine the different factors in decision making for achievement of success. At ang kanyang MELC ay examine the appropriate and inappropriate steps in personal decision making. This is for week 3. And then we have another competency, provide proper procedure toward responsible decision making. At meron po siyang katumbas sa dalawang MELCs. Ito po yung number 4, formulate 1 steps in decision making. This is week 4. And number 5, practice independent decision making. Week number 4 also. And then another competency, evaluate experiences in decision making towards achieving common good. At ang kanyang MELC ay ang mga sumusunod. Number 6, express views on issues relevant to oneself and others. And number 7, identify the various views on personal and social issues. Ito po ay sa week 5. And then the next standard is analyze the relationship of one's skills and experiences in choosing profession, vocation, and future plans. At ang kanyang competency ay understand the importance of guidance from parents or guardians and significant others in choosing a profession, vocation, and future plans. And meron po tayo dito, pang-8 sa MELC ay identify the important aspects to be considered in choosing a profession, vocation, and the future. This is week 6. Next, last standard, analyze the relevance of experiences in school and community toward academic success. So we have competency here, relate the choice of profession, vocation, and future plans to one's skills, competencies, and the roles of guardians and parents and significant adults. So we have here the MELCs, number 9, analyze personal abilities and experiences. That is week 7. And number 10, recognize the important opinions of parents, guardians, and significant others to make meaningful decisions. That is week 8. So kung mapapansin niyo po, ang weeks 1 and 2 ay patungkol po sa academic domain, while weeks 3, 4, and 5 patungkol naman siya sa personal and social domain, at ang weeks 6, 7, and 8 ay patungkol naman po sa career domain. So yun lang po, maraming salamat.
Maraming salamat po, Sir Ray Dehanyo, para sa pag-explain ng ating second quarter. Ngayon naman po, itutuloy natin ito sa ating third quarter sa pangunguna po ng ating minamahal na guidance teacher ng grade 9, si Ma'am Greta Ginto.
Magandang araw. Ipagpapatuloy natin ang pagtatalakay ng MELC sa third quarter. Ako po si Maria Greta M. Ginto, guidance teacher po ng grade 9. Binabati ko po ang curriculum head na si Ma'am Ernaline Miranda, ang bago nating curriculum chairman na si Ma'am Meradine Guzman. Hello po. Okay. Ang third quarter po ay binubuo ng dalawang standard, 6 na competency at 8 pong MELC. At ito po ay tatalakayin sa loob po ng 8 linggo. Ang una pong standard po sa ikatlong quarter ay apply the ability to protect oneself and others towards effective ways of problem solving. Ito po ay may 3 competency. Apply effective ways of protecting oneself and others, give effective ways in resolving issues that involve oneself and others, and share skills helpful to solve problems. Ito po ay merong 5 most essential learning competency. Ang una po ay perform duties for oneself and for others. 2, realize the advantages and importance of being responsible for oneself and for others. Number 3, relate the effective ways in solving problems. 4, participate in responding to life challenges. Number 5, response to the needs of the community towards peace. Okay, pangalawang standard po ay apply the ability to choose their own field based on the different factors towards achieving goals in life. Ito po ay meron ding 3 competency, describes the chosen field, decide for life and profession, reflect the decisions made for life and profession. 6, most essential learning competency, state one's meaningful and characteristics relevant to the chosen career. 7, explain the connection of work, needs of the society and global economy. 8, respond to the required expertise of the certain industry and other types of jobs. Napansin po ninyo na ang MELCS po ay naka-English, pero ito po ay maaring ituro sa ating mother tongue. At ang mga activity po na gagamitin po ay yun din pong ipapakita po sa module na aming ibibigay po sa susunod pong mga linggo. Dahil hinihintay po namin na ito ay ipasa po sa amin sa link at ito po ay ibabahagi din po namin sa inyo. At mapapansin din po ninyo na ang mga MELCS po nga po ay nahalo sa 3 domain. At dapat po sa loob ng 1 linggo, ito po ay tatalakayin po ng advisor sa kanyang mga klase. Salamat po. Happy teaching this new normal po.
Salamat po, Ma'am Greta, para sa magandang explanation ng ating 3rd quarter. Ngayon naman pong 4th quarter, ang mag-explain po nito ay ang inyong lingkod. Ako po pala si Ma'am Maylene Polintang, ang grade 10 guidance teacher ngayong school year 2020-2021. Magandang umaga po pala sa mga head natin, especially po dun sa aking Kuri head, si Ma'am Balete, at sa Kuri chair po namin, si Ma'am La Madrid. So for the 4th quarter, meron po tayong 3 standard, merong 6 na competency, at merong 10 most essential learning competency, at ang lahat po na ito ay tatalakayin sa loob ng 8 linggo or 8 weeks. So para po sa unang standard, ito po ay nahahati sa 2 competency. For the first standard, develop academic skills to respond to community development based on the international standards, na merong competency na demonstrate academic excellence based on the global needs under the MELC. Number 1, express initiative in extending help to the community. And number 2, give comments or suggestion for the welfare of the community. From the same standard, meron po tayong pangalawang competency. Ito po yung live ways that respect and protect the environment. At may MELC po ito na show concerns to the environment using knowledge and skills. So ang 3 MELC po na ito ay tatalakayin din po sa loob ng 3 linggo. Bawat MELC po ay merong 1 linggo na nakaalat. At ito po ay kailangang ma-discuss within that week. So sa isang buong linggo po ay meron tayong 1 araw na homeroom guidance na schedule. So for the second standard po, meron po itong 4 na competency at 5 most essential learning competency. For the second standard, enrich the ability to share oneself to respond to international standards. Meron po tayong competency na shares one's abilities for the development of others and community. At meron naman po tayong 2 most essential learning competencies. Yung number 4 po na show adaptive behavior to the new changes in the community. At 5, participate in the advocacies of the community toward progress, na ang time allotment po nito ay para sa week 4. So kung mapapansin nyo po, meron pong dalawang most essential learning competency sa isang linggo na yon. So isang lesson po iyon, magkasama po sila. So sa pangalawang competency naman po, meron tayong engage oneself in meaningful programs and initiatives for the common good, na may MELC na reflect on the importance of one's involvement in resolving the different issues of the community para sa week 5. Para naman po sa week 6, merong strengthen self-empowerment to respond to the needs of the community, and meron po itong MELC na show optimism in dealing with life challenges. At para po sa last competency for the second standard, ito po ay merong lesson na tumutukoy sa respond to personal and social needs that can contribute to the promotion of international standard under MELC 8, contribute meaningful ways on how to be the catalyst of change. Ito po ay under sa week 7. For the last standard ng fourth quarter, meron po tayong implement the steps towards the realization of chosen profession and vocation based on international standards, na may dalawang competency. So yung unang competency po ay state steps to fulfill the goal in life, under ng MELC na relate the relevance of decision making in track and strand selection to planning and to the transition to next grade level toward the future goals under week 8. At yung pangalawang competency naman po, same. Ibig sabihin po, nasa iisang week po sila. Ito po yung outline plans for the chosen profession, vocation, and the future. Under MELC 10, compare the helpful ways on how to attain desired profession or vocation. So, binubuo po sila ng 8 week. So, yun po ang lahat ng mga learning competencies na tatalakayan under ng Homeroom Guidance Program, at ito po yung isang buong programa na gagawin natin for the whole year. So kung mapapansin nyo po, elevated po ang bawat topic na i-discuss natin. So nag-start po ito sa personal nila na areas ng kanilang mga buhay, and then malilipat ito or mag-elevate ito sa pamamagitan ng mga discussion na may kinalaman naman sa kanilang mga community at sa kanilang mga career path na kukuhanin para sila po ay makatulong sa community na kanilang dinadalawan. So para po mas lalo ninyong maintindihan kung ano pa po ang buong programa ng ating Homeroom Guidance Program, after po nitong talk po namin ay meron po kayong mapapanood na iba't ibang mga video na mas lalo pa pong magpapalalim at magpapaintindi po sa inyo kung para saan ba talaga ito at kung ano po ang magiging daloy ng buong programang ito.
Good afternoon, everyone. For those who are watching from the different parts of the country, Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao via live streaming, I hope this discussion would be a good reference for you to better understand homeroom guidance. But before anything else, let me just show to you my PowerPoint presentation so we can have a meaningful and good discussion here. My task is actually to tackle the rationale and brief history of homeroom guidance. I will also include the important concepts and foundations of homeroom guidance, the theories that guide its development, its curriculum framework, philosophy, vision, mission, and the 3 domains. I don't want to be boring, but just a warning, my sharing will be quite academic. So if that's okay with you, and I don't think you have a choice but to listen to me. So maybe we can begin. So let's start with the past. So I know that most of the viewers here are quite seasoned in the Department of Education. So can you still recall RHGP? So who among you here can still remember these 4 color-coded modules? These materials were released in 1997 following the DEX Order number 67, series of 1997. Personally, I was able to do the exercises here when I was still a student, and I can remember how my advisors were requiring us to do the tasks. As in the Index Order number 67 series of 1997, it seeks to develop the student's personality in order to prepare him or her for his or her role in the family, the world of work, and the community. Its objectives are to develop the student's personality through an understanding of self and environment, discover, enhance the aptitude, interests of the student to prepare him or her for the world of work, and higher academic or non-academic studies. Notice that the program tries to emphasize its focus on personality development and cover some aspects of the world of work. I am now showing you the Revitalized Homeroom Guidance Program Conceptual Framework. On top are the bases for its development. So we have the needs of the Philippine adolescent, followed by the legal basis. So we have the RA 1124 in 1954. We have Memorandum number 86 series of 1959 and other DepEd documents and laws that support this program. We also have the needs of the Philippine and global society, which was one of the bases of crafting the RHGP. So as you can see here, this program or conceptual framework rather follows the IPO flow. So we have the input, process, and the output. As its input, we have its objectives, which I already mentioned a while ago. We have the curriculum development process. So they have researches like the Delphi study. They also conducted consultative workshops, pre-testing a prototype guidance program, materials development, teacher training, and tryout. And then they made use of two standardized tests such as high school occupational interest inventory and the Philippine-specific aptitude test battery. And they also look into the requirements of world of work during that period. As a process, RHGP will be implemented in school, which covers self-awareness, goal setting, decision-making, work experience, boy-girl relationship, and changes in adolescence. Notice the common point of values education, the VE here, and technology and home economics, the THE here, is work values. Moreover, PE, health, and music focus on the changes in adolescent. As the common point of the three subjects, we have sexuality, family values, and responsible parenthood. Let us be mindful on the role of family and community here for the attainment of personality development and career guidance to the experiential learning process. RHGP clearly defined its ultimate goal under the output, which is a Filipino student or a Filipino adolescent who is caring, responsible, and a committed member of the family and country, is skillful in making decisions, can relate his or her potentials to the varying job requirements to arrive at realistic career or vocational choices. I would like to underscore that RHGP before used to cover high school students and the limited aspects of adolescents here. You may be wondering where we got our concept of homeroom or homerooms. Memorandum number 86 series of 1959, clarification of the guidance provisions of the revised Philippine Educational Program defines homerooms as units of organization which give the importance to the individual and make him or her the core of all activities undertaken to develop his or her personality and cultivate his social relationships with his classmates. So in a nutshell, it just wants to address the personality and social aspects of the students. RHGP was for secondary level only. It has 40 minutes per session. So the number of sessions is 30 to 32 sessions per school year, or 7 to 8 sessions for each grading period. Modifications will depend on the activities conducted in the regions and in schools. So that's based on DEX Order number 52 series of 1998. Fast forward. In 2015, we tried to look into the current implementation of the program as we conduct data gathering, interviewed implementers in the regions, along with other processes and literature review. From there, we developed the curriculum guide of Homeroom Guidance, formulated its policy, developed learning materials, which is already on the final phase. And now we're conducting our training. We just ended or finished our orientation last July 29 for the regional and division supervisors. If you will be asking me, what are the processes involved in the CG development or curriculum guide development, we made a survey on the implementation of Homeroom Guidance Program, or the RHGP, wherein we asked, maybe some of you here answered that survey. We asked you regarding the status of RHGP, and that's the quantitative part of data gathering. Its results have to be validated through an FGD and interview with some regional and division personnel. So that's the qualitative part. Then we tried to review the RHGP materials, check its coverage and content, and sadly, the results of data gathering tell us that RHGP time was used for classroom cleaning, advisors' homily, so for those advisors who are trying to be a priest inside the classroom, extension of other subjects, collection of letter to parents, and other things. Reflecting on these results, we came up with activities that would eventually gear for the rebirth of RHGP way back in 2016. So, why Homeroom Guidance? Is it just a repetition of RHGP or just a similar subject to ESP? For those who are thinking that this is an ESP thing, you have to carefully listen to this webinar. But before that, let me direct your attention on how Homeroom Guidance should be properly appreciated, taking its correct context and lens. For those who are now practicing or who are practicing RGC here, can you give me a thumbs up? So I'm showing you this simple or sample guidance and counseling services chart. We have the individual inventory, which is a record-keeping mechanism that involves routine interview. So for those who are doing the routine interview, it's part of the individual inventory. We also have to store confidential files of the student psychological test results, or even academic performance, and many more that are being used to understand the student. And this is actually useful during counseling. It helps us to better understand our client. So only the guidance counselor can touch and open the files of these students. Then we have the follow-up service, which entails the counselor to check the current functioning of those students who availed counseling. We also have research and evaluation, which checks the relevance of the program against the needs of the target population, and service that entails the counselor to do research for some intervention and concrete understanding of the students. So as you can see, we have a lot of things to do. We're not just sitting down waiting for the clients to enter. Another service here is the placement service, where we assist students to find appropriate school for your college application through college fair or career talks, job fair for those who want to work after senior high school, and even those wanting to transfer to another school due to whatever reasons. I experienced helping students with special needs to find an appropriate school for them that can cater to their needs. I tried to connect and communicate with the school so I could check whether the facilities and even the equipment and services for the students are appropriate and helpful for my students. Of course, we have the consultation service. What do we do in this service? So, of course, council, administrators, teachers, and even parents go to us to clarify or even ask us about their mental health issues. RGC is the only mental health professional in school. So as an RGC, we have to embrace evidence-based practice and, of course, data-driven practice. Then we have the psychological assessment. For DepEd schools, it might be a bit challenging because it entails financial support for us to purchase psychological tests. But we can have other types of assessment like the MSE or the mental status examination and other tools that we can use to assess our students. We also have the referral. So what do we do with referral? So we refer students to outside specialists or even outside professional if we think that their case is beyond our control or beyond our expertise. So most especially if the case is becoming too clinical and we need, for instance, psychiatrists, psychologists to help us help this student. The huge chunk of our guidance and counseling services is, of course, counseling. Only RGC, based on RA 9258, can practice and can give counseling. So we do this with utmost confidentiality. We do it with professional relationship with our clients. The next service is the information service. So what do we do in information service? So we do information dissemination in different forms like the bulletin boards, flyers, reading materials, symposia, fora, seminars, and guidance curriculum, which is our homeroom guidance. Yes, you heard it right. Homeroom guidance is just part of the information service. So do not mistake it with the entirety of guidance and counseling services. It is just a portion of information service. So for those who are asking, what's the difference of homeroom guidance? What's the difference between homeroom guidance and ESP? So homeroom guidance focuses on the life skills development, while ESP or edukasyon sa pagpapakatao focuses on the moral compass, on the ethical behavior of students, the concept of what is right and wrong. So I hope the difference between the two is clear now. So aside from the data we gathered from the data gathering activities that we had for RHGP, we tried to check what really are the issues and concerns of the current students. In some of our activities during the development stage, we usually invited resource persons to discuss this, plus the data from the government agencies and some readings. We saw that issues like academic failures, school dropouts, bullying, drug addiction, unhealthy sexual behavior, online and social media addiction, confused or even difficult career choices, teenage pregnancy vices, and many more confront our students. Therefore, they need a program that will prepare them to face these realities through life skills development. We cannot control our environment, and I think we have to recognize that, nor the behavior of our students, but we can equip them with the right skills that they can use to overcome the challenges of their developmental tasks. So we came up with this program to really capacitate our learners or even students on how they will handle their issues. The K-12 curriculum puts emphasis on capacitating learners with skills that they can use to perform their tasks and nurture it as they progress up to grade 12. Additionally, learners need to perform different tasks, face personal and social issues, and decide which path to take. These needs must be addressed by a responsive program for the learners. So the RHGP before, for secondary learners, an existing DepEd program purports to answer this need. However, there is a pressing need to make it more comprehensive, developmental, and proactive, as learners nowadays have complex and overarching needs that have great impact in their development. I think we have to admit that the needs of learners now are quite different from our needs during the time when we were still studying. Therefore, homeroom guidance promotes rational thinking, healthy behavior, and positive disposition. What's the meaning of these things? Rational thinking would mean making sound and logical decisions and taking things based on data, while good health or healthy behavior, accounts for the actions that promote good health not only in physical but in mental aspect. Lastly, positive disposition pertains to having a good outlook, hope, motivation to continue life, and a belief that they can overcome the developmental changes or challenges rather. This is very relevant nowadays as we need to really foster hope that there is a rainbow after this pandemic, after this crisis. We can still survive this crisis. All right, so when we were crafting the new homeroom guidance curriculum, we had to, sorry about that, that's part of the new normal, I guess. When we were crafting the new homeroom guidance curriculum, we had to be clear where we are coming from. So our belief that would guide us to articulate the vision of the program, so we came up with this philosophy that states every learner is unique and has the ability to develop him or herself using his or her own learning and experiences from family, community, school, and society. This shall be realized through the collaborative efforts of family, school, community, government, and other institutions. In other words, we're not treating our learners as tabula rasa or blank slates. They have their own capabilities to help themselves utilizing what they learn from the environment, which will be realized with the help of the collective effort of family, school, community, and other institutions. So it really takes a village to raise a child. That's where we are coming from when we develop HG. The next in mind is how do we contribute to the end goal of DepEd, which is to produce holistically developed Filipinos with 21st century skills. Any program in the agency must support its target. So we try to define what is a holistically developed Filipinos with 21st century skills in the context of homeroom guidance. And we say that a holistically developed Filipinos who is someone who is able to achieve academic success, demonstrate healthy behavior, exemplify positive disposition, and systematically plan their future. It shall produce learners who can work for the common good of society while upholding the international standards. Notice that we are anchoring on the department's vision. Okay, so how should the vision be carried out? That's the next question. The purpose of our mission states, or the mission states that Homeroom Guidance is dedicated to address the academic, personal, social, and career development needs of the learners in a developmental, comprehensive, and proactive manner. We are claiming that the HG is developmental in nature as its standards and competencies cut across all grade levels, comprehensive as it covers all aspects of students' life, and proactive as it tries to equip learners with life skills that they can use to overcome different issues. I'm showing you the curriculum framework of Homeroom Guidance, accounting the needs of the students, Philippine society, and global community, and guided by the theoretical basis and legal basis, we came up with the 3 domains. So we have the academic development domain, personal and social domain, and career development domain. By the way, we are inspired by the American School Counseling Association model, or the ASCA model, and we also read some literature about how we can contextualize and even make sense out of that model. We cannot just ignore the fact that school cannot do it alone. So as you can see, we have the school, the home, and community. So what does the school do? So school ensures the proper implementation of homeroom guidance that leads to the development of the learner's life skills in the 3 domains. It convenes both home and community for the realization of homeroom guidance vision. What about home? So it plays vital role in the learner's life skills development through its consistent support, involvement, and collaboration with the school and community. It provides guided opportunities that complement the school activities of homeroom guidance. Then the community and other institutions enforce the development of learners' life skills through its engagement in the school programs and activities. It also serves as a support system of the school as they craft policies, programs, and projects that are relevant to the vision, mission, and philosophy of Homeroom Guidance, or HG. As you can see here, the arrows are continuing because it is a lifelong process. Even as adults, we still address these domains. No? So when we attend our seminars or webinars like this, we are catering to our academic domain. When we go to graduate school, to finish our MA or even PhD or even postdoc, that's the academic domain. And when we read books, just to enhance or enrich our cognitive faculties, that pertains to academic domain. Then the personal and social development domain would entail us to improve how we relate with other people, how we make decisions, how we look at life, etc. Then the career development domain, of course, it's obvious that we are in this profession, but that doesn't mean that we don't look for professional growth, because career development is normal for us professionals. Then, having said that, we say that we contribute to produce holistically developed Filipinos. HG is a comprehensive developmental and proactive program that has standards and competencies that cut across all grade levels. So meaning to say, if you will be asking me, sir, E-sexuality, drug addiction, bullying, human rights, and other issues embedded already in HG? I would say a resounding yes for that. So the competency indicators are arranged from simple to complex and focus on the development of higher order thinking, such as analyzing and evaluating concepts, processes, procedures, and principles rather than just remembering. The standards and competencies are the same from kindergarten to senior high school, as no life skills can be mastered in just 1 year or so. So it takes a process. What's the difference between and among kindergarten to senior high school? The difference is the complexities of competency indicators. So we try to ensure its developmental nature by making it reflected per level, the same standards, but in a different context. Let's talk about the 3 domains of Homeroom guidance. The standards of HG are anchored on certain theories, since each domain has its own peculiarities in consideration to the needs of Filipino learners and society. During the time when we were crafting the curriculum, we were trying to look for a theory that can encapsulate the things that the program needs. But we do recognize that there are some limitations in a certain theory. So the academic development is guided by Jerome Bruner's scaffolding theory that espouses that children will become independent learners as they mature if they are given the support and active help from their parents and teachers at the onset of their learning. Hence, we really involve the academic, the parents rather, and the community to really help our learners. The said theory states that the scaffold reminiscent of a building scaffolding of the growing child in their learning process is the knowledgeable person within their proximity. That is their parents at home and teachers in school. Therefore, homeroom guidance really needs the help of the nearest adults, who are the parents or even the guardians. Gradually, parental and teacher support can be removed as the learners develop independence in thinking and knowledge and skills acquisition. So some concepts from the learner-centered theory of Jean-Jacques Rousseau were derived for the academic development domain. The theory stipulates the learner's cultural capital or life experiences should be tapped in designing the learning process. So we are, in homeroom guidance, we are capitalizing on the learned experiences of, the experiences, the lessons from the experiences of students from the home, school, and community. In this way, a participative classroom interaction will be in place. Learners are not viewed as tabula rasa, and they are assumed to possess cultural kit or accumulated experiences, which serve as significant factor in the learning process. If learners' experiences are ignored, thinking will be limited and meaning-making of lessons will be hardly attained. We also made use of the cognitive learning theory of John Piaget. It believes that cognitive development is a continuous process as the biological maturation and environmental influence take place. Learners gain knowledge and go through the differences between what they learn and what the existing realities are. Furthermore, it claims that learning and new knowledge can be stored if there are effective cognitive processes, while learners encounter learning difficulties with ineffective cognitive processes. The theory tries to illustrate the processes and mechanisms how reasoning skills and thinking using hypotheses developed by an infant as he or she becomes an adult later on. So Piaget included the concept of schema, which refers to a cohesive, repeatable action sequence processing component actions that are tightly interconnected and governed by core meaning. It is a set of linked mental representations of the world which people use to make meaning and act on different situations. During the development of mental processes, schemata increase in number, including its complexities. That's why, guided by this theory, we think that the cognitive processes or another concept in this theory that HG embraces is the adaptation process that includes assimilation, accommodation, and equilibration. Assimilation occurs when a person uses his or her schema to understand the new situation or things, while accommodation happens when the previous knowledge is irrelevant and needs to be changed. To understand the new situation or things, moreover, equilibration directs the learner to attain equilibrium, which happens when learner assimilates or accommodates new information. For personal and social domain, we made use or we are guided by Erik Erikson's psychosocial development. We actually got inspiration from this theory. Its descriptive overview of social and emotional development was taken as one of the considerations in crafting the standards and competencies. Of course, we have to account also the results of the current realities or profile of our youth or even students. His view on mastering the attitudes, ideas, and skills at each stage of development to help learners to be successful and contributing members of society is highly evident in the program. So we are treating learners when they face the developmental tasks guided by the theory of Erikson. So the last domain is the career domain. So we made use of Crumbolt's theory of career development, also Super's development theory of career choice, Ginsberg's concept of career development. So Crumbolt's theory of career development claims that genetic endowment that includes sex, race, developmental disabilities, innate talents affect the career choice of a person. So the career choice that we have are actually relevant or connected with our maybe sex, race, and other innate talents. Furthermore, the environment, life events, and learning experiences also shape one's career decisions. People's changing roles and priorities create great impact to their career directions. So for Super's developmental theory of career choice, he said that a person career advances, it undergoes 5 life stages. So 5, what are these stages? That include growth, exploration, establishment, maintenance, and decline. This concept of establishing a self-concept as a person grows plays an important role in identifying occupation. The concept of vocational maturity, which may be attributed to person's age, undergoes a cycle as manifested in his or her career transitions. We believe that career is a continuous cycle. No? So the concept of career development as a lifelong process, including its early development of Ginsberg, is clearly reflected in the career development domain. That's why we, as you can see the curriculum here, the career domain is already present as early as kinder up to grade 12. HG advocates that early inclusion of career concept in their lives to guide them as they discover the path that they want to take. So these are the theories that guide the 3 domains of homeroom guidance. We just got those that are essential and applicable to Homeroom Guidance. So to discuss the Homeroom Guidance standards, competencies, and most essential learning competencies, I will now turn the mic over to Dr. Melinda Andres. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon po sa lahat. So good afternoon. Today I'm going to discuss the procedure, assessment, monitoring, and evaluation of homeroom guidance as indicated in DMCI 155 series of 2020, or the policy guidelines on the implementation of homeroom guidance most essential learning competencies during crisis for school year 2020-2021. I am Jonna Kristen Valdez, a registered guidance counselor and a senior education program specialist from the Bureau of Curriculum Development. The implementation of this program shall be governed and guided by the following principles. First, nomenclature. Homeroom guidance shall be reflected in the class program of every school in the school forms as homeroom guidance. It is abbreviated as HG. Second, on medium of instruction, the learning materials are written in English, but the regions may opt to use their mother tongue or any language convenient to the learners to ensure participation and interaction during the session and better understanding of the concepts. This is also including the outputs that they are going to submit for this year. Third, time allotment. Time allotment for homeroom guidance is 1 hour or 60 minutes per week from grade 1 to grade 12, while for kindergarten, it will be included in their blocks of time. Fourth, on class program, the homeroom guidance shall be scheduled once a week. So we need to consider and adjust depending on the learning modality of the learner, as long as it complies with the time allotment of 1 hour per week or 60 minutes per week. You can also use the time allotment stated or indicated in the modules as your guide in the delivery of the modules or in the delivery of the lessons of the modules. Fifth, the class advisor shall be assigned to implement the homeroom guidance program with the technical assistance of the guidance counselor. If the school does not have a guidance counselor, the school head may assign a guidance designate, but he or she should be provided with proper training specific to the implementation of homeroom guidance. Sixth, collaboration with family and community is also encouraged in order to create a venue for the learners in developing the skills in academic, personal, social, and career development. We have to remember that education is everybody's business. On teaching load, teaching homeroom guidance shall be equivalent to 1 teaching load on top of the teacher's advisory and subjects load. Eight, homeroom guidance shall not be viewed as a formal learning area like edukasyon sa pagpapakatao or ESP and the like. It shall be treated as a program that will help learners develop the competencies needed in the 3 domains. Hence, its delivery in class is quite informal, but still follows the structured learning experience flow. So what is a structured learning experience? So this is collaborative, experiential, supervised, in-depth, and it aims to provide learners with opportunities to learn and demonstrate attainment of competencies. Ninth, on orientation and capacity building. The central office, through the Bureau of Curriculum Development, shall conduct orientation and capacity building to region and division supervisors in charge of guidance and counseling. So regions, schools, divisions shall conduct training for the program implementers to capacitate and prepare them for the implementation of homeroom guidance most essential learning competencies. As you can see on your screen, we are done with the July 29 activity, which is the orientation of region and division supervisors in charge of guidance and counseling, and it was really a successful activity. And then today, August 13, we are having the capacity building of region and division guidance designate or in charge of guidance and counseling. Also with us today are our school heads and supervisors. And starting Monday, August 17, you can have your own division orientation or capacity building of school heads and guidance counselors. I think this is depending on the decision of the division, if they see it necessary for them to hold another orientation for their school heads and guidance designates or guidance counselors. 10th, the homeroom guidance most essential learning competencies and learning materials will be issued by the Department of Education. So this was already issued last June together with other most essential learning competencies of the other subjects, okay? And the learning materials will be available. Hopefully, it can be downloadable through the LR portal by August 2020. 11th, homeroom guidance assessment results must be distributed and discussed by the class advisor during the parent-teacher conference. This shall be issued as an attachment to the learner's report card. 12. DepEd schools shall include all expenses relative to homeroom guidance in their annual school improvement plan. 13th. Non-implementation or improper implementation of homeroom guidance shall be subject to existing applicable administrative actions. Okay. Let's now move on to our roles and responsibilities of DepEd offices. Okay, so to start, for schools, the school head supervises and monitors the implementation of homeroom guidance and ensures that proper intervention for each learner will be provided. The guidance counselor or guidance designate serves as the program manager and ensures the correct content and pedagogy of homeroom guidance in school. The guidance counselor or guidance designate must conduct the orientation and homeroom guidance at the beginning of the school year and hold quarterly meetings with section advisors before the implementation of the modules. As the need arises, the guidance counselor or guidance designate must be able to provide other guidance services or intervention without violating the provision stipulated in the RA 9258 or the Guidance and Counseling Act of 2004. Class advisors serves as homeroom guidance implementer inside the classroom. So the class advisor refer the learner to the guidance counselor only if counseling intervention or other guidance services are needed, such as referral, consultation. More so, the class advisor collaborates with co-teachers and parents in developing the competencies of the learners at home. Together with the guidance counselor or advocate and parents, the class advisor shall identify and implement possible intervention for the progress of the learner. School Division Office. So, Curriculum Implementation Division through the ESP Supervisor in charge of Edukasyon sa Pagpapakatao, in coordination with School Governance and Operations Division, through its designated guidance and counseling focal person, serves as the division program manager. They also coordinate with the guidance counselor or guidance designate of schools. They ensure localization and indigenization of content and pedagogy and are expected to monitor the conduct of homeroom guidance. In the regional office, the Curriculum and Learning Management Division, or the CLMD, ESP Supervisor in coordination with Education Support Services Division, or the ESSD, through its designated guidance and counseling focal person, serves as the program manager in the region. Okay, so he or she coordinates with the school's division program manager to ensure that the conduct of homeroom guidance is in accordance with this policy. They are expected to submit an annual report on the conduct of homeroom guidance. In the central office, the Bureau of Curriculum Development serves as the program manager. The focal person serves the correct or ensures the correct curriculum articulation and consolidates annual report on the conduct of homeroom guidance. The Bureau of Learning Delivery ensures that appropriate pedagogical approaches are employed on how to deliver the curriculum content. The Bureau of Learning Resources ensures the availability of learning resources to the field units. On assessment of learners' development and monitoring of the program, though the intent of the homeroom guidance is to help learners develop competencies that will aid them in facing different issues and tasks, it is important to still track their level of development. Homeroom guidance implementers must always keep in mind that the program shall capacitate learners toward success. Hence, compared to the formal learning areas that are being measured following the DO number 8 series of 2015, homeroom guidance shall utilize Learners Development Assessment Tool, which you can also find in the Annex 3 of the DM 155, guided by the verbal descriptions. Okay. So here are the verbal descriptions. NI means needs improvement, or the learner has not acquired the target competencies. D stands for developing. The learner acquired some of the target competency. SD, or sufficiently developed. The learner acquired the target competency. And DC, developed and commendable. The learner acquired the target competency and showed commendable application in real-life situations. So the learner's development shall be assessed through their portfolio and performance task. Conduct of homeroom guidance is mandatory, but this is not part of the academic rating. Grades are just descriptive. So if the student will get needs improvement, what is the meaning of this? It shows that the student needs a certain intervention from school and home. In the event that the learner remains at the needs improvement at the end of each quarter, the advisor, guidance counselor, and parent need to work together to provide intervention. So disciplinary cases of learners must not affect their homeroom guidance grades. So here is the example of the homeroom guidance learners development assessment for school year 2020-2021. For each key stage, so for kindergarten, they have their own assessment tool. Here is the primary level, or the grade 1 to grade 3 development assessment. For the intermediate level, for junior high school, and for senior high school. Success and sustainability of the program will only be ensured if there is a systematic and adequate monitoring and evaluation. Monitoring and evaluation shall be done from September 2020 to April 2021 or as scheduled by the department. Reports on the results of the monitoring and evaluation shall be submitted at the end of school year 2020-2021. The following are the offices and units which will implement, monitor, or will be affected by this policy. School level. The school head leads the monitoring in coordination with the guidance counselor or guidance designate or guidance advocate. School head ensures evaluation of the program. So here is Annex 1 or the Homeroom Guidance Monitoring Tool in school level. Okay, as you can see, there is a scale below. Okay, 0 means no chance to observe, 1 not observed, 2 observed but insufficient, 3 sufficiently observed, and 4 sufficiently observed and commendable. So say for example, Item 1, make sure that the learning modality is conducive for learning and activities. Okay? So if this will be observed but not sufficient, the school head or the guidance counselor may check under number 2. Okay? Observed but insufficient. Okay? If there are cases that there's no chance to observe, then they will check 0. Okay, so we understand that in this particular event during pandemic, since we don't have face-to-face, there will be items or categories that will not be observed, or most of the answers will be 0. Okay, okay lang yun. We understand that because of this situation, and everything, your recommendations, the things that you will say about the conduct of the homeroom guidance based on this monitoring tool will be very much appreciated. Okay, so this is also our way of looking into the program and check if this is really helpful for the learners. Okay, so we'll have to really work hand in hand in order for us to achieve the goal of this particular program. Okay, so this is for the school level. And then for the schools division level, the Edukasyon sa Pagpapakatao ESP supervisor in coordination with the guidance counselor designated in the division office leads the monitoring using the homeroom guidance monitoring tool. So a while ago, I showed you the school monitoring tool. Now we also have the SDO level monitoring tool or the homeroom guidance monitoring and evaluation tool. Okay? So here, hinati naman yung legend natin from evident, evident but inadequate, not evident, or not applicable. Okay? And again, we understand if there will be sections or categories na not applicable or not evident as of this event, no, during this pandemic. So we'll try to look into possibilities on how are we going to improve the content as well as the areas to be implemented for the homeroom guidance. Okay, so for the division level, the areas to be monitored are curriculum implementation and compliance, delivery process, evaluation of learners' development, supervision of homeroom guidance implementation, administrative concerns. Okay? And then, meron siyang summary sa likod. Makikita dyan saan yung mga evident. Hopefully, in the curriculum and implementation, maging evident naman siya. baka meron lang tayong ilang pagkukulang o may mga kailangan tayong iayos pagdating sa delivery process for this year, no? But in the evaluation of learners' development, I hope yan din maging evident in most of our divisions. And the supervision of homeroom guidance implementation, I hope you also have that, no? Okay. So it has a page 3, which says, this certifies that the monitoring and evaluation results have been discussed with me. I understand that my signature does not necessarily indicate agreement, but acknowledge receipt of the report, and that I may respond to any and all issues contained in this evaluation. Written response must be submitted to the undersigned supervisor within 10 working days of date noted below. Okay? That's just for the monitoring and evaluation. Okay? That's for the schools division level. Next, in the regional level, the ESP supervisor in coordination with ESSD focal person for guidance and counseling leads the monitoring in the regional level, focusing on the entire implementation of the homeroom guidance. So for the school and division, they have the monitoring tool. Sa regional level naman, they do the consolidation. And we'll see ano kaya yung region na may pinaka magaling, pinaka maayos na implementation on homeroom guidance, at ano rin yung may pangangailangan pa to improve in the implementation of the homeroom guidance. Okay? Next, in the national level, the Bureau of Curriculum Development leads the overall monitoring and evaluation of the homeroom guidance. So the Bureau representative shall consolidate the annual regional report on the implementation of homeroom guidance and coordinate the results to other bureaus of the central office, that which may serve as reference for future enhancements of the program and related policies. Okay, so this policy shall take effect in school year 2020-2021. So we'll start ng August 24 until April, ayan, and succeeding years immediately upon publication in the DepEd website. Okay, here are our references. Okay. I will also give you some updates on homeroom guidance learning materials. So for quarter 1, okay, we have a total of 45 modules. For quarter 2, we have 42. For quarter 3, we have 40. Quarter 4, we have 37. A total of 164 modules. Okay? So nandyan din yung distribution per domain. At makikita ninyo na ang pinakamarami o pinakamalaking domain ay ang personal social, which is 98. Okay? Yan naman kasi yung target natin for this school year, na mabigyan sila ng competencies talaga at makatutok ito sa personal social development domain. Okay? Yung academic and career ay pantay lang, pero iba-iba lang din yung dami nila sa bawat key stage or sa bawat grade level. Okay? So here is the number of modules per domain naman siya. Okay? And here, we have the homeroom guidance number of modules and estimated number of pages. Okay? So magtataka siguro kayo, bakit pagdating sa grade 11 and grade 12, konti yung kanilang homeroom guidance module? It's because nakafocus lang po sila sa personal social domain. Ang ating kindergarten hanggang grade 10 po, meron silang academic and career development domain. So for grade 11 and grade 12, they have a separate career guidance program. So meron din po tayong guidelines na ilalabas dyan, at magiging focus naman nito is yung kanilang pagpe-prepare o paghahanda para sa ating mga curriculum exits, 4 curriculum exits. Okay? Okay, so with that, maraming salamat po and have a great day.
Good morning, good afternoon. It's a privilege to be with you today. The most talk about learning modality in the new normal, the self-directed learning. I was tasked to discuss with you what is it all about and paano ito sinasagawa. Ako po si Carmen Cita Aguas from the Bureau of Learning Delivery, Teaching and Learning Division. Isa po akong teacher and at the same time guidance counselor. So to begin with, I'd like to take points from the DMCI memo number 2020-00162. It is about the suggested strategies in implementing distance learning modalities for this current year. This is all in the context of what we are experiencing now, and it is also stipulated in DepEd Order number 001, series of 2020, entitled School Calendar and Activities for the School Year 2021. That schools and community learning centers under the supervision of the regional office and the schools division office are authorized to decide on the specific distance learning delivery model, or shall we say the modalities which is more appropriate to their context. And it is also specified that as much as possible, the primary learning resources that shall be used are the self-learning modules developed by the regions for the implementation of the alternative delivery modes, which I suppose the material which the homeroom guidance is appropriately for this particular modality. No? And to begin with, I'd like to share with you a definition of self-directed learning from Knowles. No? He said that self-directed learning describes a process in which individuals take the initiative. So, ibig sabihin, talagang makikita na natin na may kusang palo na yung bata. With or without the help of others, he is able to do on his own. No? He is able to diagnose ano yung learning needs niya. He's able to formulate goals. And, of course, when we say self-directed learning, sabi nga ay the child is able to take the initiative, no? Identifying human and material resources for learning, choosing and implementing appropriate learning strategies, and of course the most important thing in the self-directed learning, according to Knowles, is evaluating learning outcomes. So self-directed learning describes a process in which individuals take the initiative with or without the help of others in diagnosing their learning needs, formulating learning goals, identifying human material resources for learning, choosing and implementing appropriate learning strategies, and evaluating learning outcomes. So, with that, Boyatzi, American psychologist, together with Goleman in 2002, ay may isa silang dinevelop. Okay, they formulated this theory on self-directed learning in which dito sa cycle na to, makikita natin what are the essential skills na dapat ay meron ng bata for him to be able to be successful in using the self-directed learning modalities. No? At sabi niya dyan, developing trusting relationship that help support and encourage in each step in the process. So ano ba? The first circle is my ideal self. Naiintindihan ng bata ano yung pangarap ko sa sarili ko, sino ako, at ano ang aking idea kung ano ako, at ano yung real self ko. And makikita dyan, ano yung gaps, ano pa yung mga kailangan kong i-improve, tignan kung paano ko ito mapagyayaman. And the third is, ano yung strength na meron ako na pwede ko siyang i-build, no? At paano ko siya mapagyayaman bilang estudyante or ako bilang guro, ano yung mga hakbang na maaari kong ibigay sa aking mga estudyante na madidevelop yung kanilang real self, kasabay yung kanilang ideal self. No? At with that, ay magkakaroon daw siya ng practicing new behavior, building neutral pathways to mastery. So, meron siyang binigay na 5 steps paano natin matulungan ang ating mag-aaral sa konteksto ng self-directed learning. No? Sabi ng theory ni Boyatsi, ay magagawa daw nating matulungan para ma-develop ang skill na ito sa ating mga estudyante if we have these steps. No? The first is discovery. Focus on the discovery. Anong meron siya? Ano yung gusto niyang maging? No? And then the second discovery is we have to differentiate the real self from the ideal self. What are my strengths and gaps? Considering the ideal and the real self. So, ang maganda po dito ay yung unang module ng Homeroom Guidance ay nag-focus sa ideal, I. No? And the third discovery ay what is my learning agenda? How can I build on my strengths while reducing the gaps? No? If you are able to help the learners identified ano yung kailangan niyang i-improve, ay maganda na pag-proceed niya sa fourth discovery. This is the exploration parts, no? Ano yung actions na pwede kong i-take, no? And let me share with you processes, no? Paano nga ba natin isasagawa itong self-directed learning? So very important that we assess the learner's capacity to learn, no? Hindi kasi lahat ng learner may capacity na for self-directed. And we should also understand that not all parents are able to assist their kids. So kaya ito yung dilemma ng mga magulang natin. At bilang guidance counselor, bilang guidance designate in the school, ay kailangan po nating mag-intervene dun sa gap na yon. So the first one is we assess the readiness to learn. Ito pong step na to ay it involves students conducting evaluation. Ano ba yung meron yung bata ngayon? May internet ba siya? Meron ba siyang kung siya gagamit ng online o kung yung material ay print, marunong ba siyang magbasa? Meron bang gagabay sa kanya? Ano ba yung support na pwede mong ibigay bilang school at bilang guidance advocate or guidance designate? It involves evaluating past experiences with independent learning. Ano ba yung kapasidad ng batang ito nung siya grade 4? What is his or her capacity in terms of independent learning? So, ang tip po dyan ay masasabi natin na self-directed learning ready. Ang bata, kung siya ay autonomous na, masipag ba siyang gumawa ng assignment nung face-to-face? Organisado ba siya? Nakakayanan ba niya yung self-discipline? Kasi sa self-directed materials, naroon yung mga specific minutes to work on a particular task. So, dapat makikita natin o maobserbahan natin sa kanya yung discipline siya. At the learner should be able to identify or communicate effectively and able to accept constructive feedback. Oo, kasi mag-feedback tayo every time na mag-submit ng learning materials ang bata sa atin. We have to provide feedback. Doon kasi nila malalaman kung tama ba yung ginawa nila or hindi. Then the second step is, of course, you set the goals between you and the students para maliwanag kung ano yung tatahakin yung inaasahan. Then, the third is the process of doing it. It's called engage in the learning process. Students need to understand themselves as learners in order to understand their needs as self-directed learning students. No? At, syempre, para maging successful ang self-directed learning, they must be able to engage in self-reflection, self-evaluation of their learning goals, and progress in a unit of study. So, sana po ay nagkaliwanagan tayo kung ano ang self-directed learning. So important that the child is already independent in terms of reading, comprehension, self-discipline. No? So, yun ang medyo challenge talaga sa atin bilang guidance designate na gagamit ng homeroom guidance materials. It is so important that we are able to see clearly the objectives and the tasks to be accomplished in each part of the module. Let me show you the parts. So, the first quarter module talks about I for the idea. So, di ba, sa self-directed, so important that you're able to identify the ideal self and the real self. So, the parts of the module should be very clear in the discussion. What are the objectives? So, objectives are stated. At the end of the module, you are expected to identify uniqueness from others, enumerate the changes as you age, and demonstrate positive and appropriate behavior in valuing yourself. Then, part of the module also, which is so important, is the time allotment. Diba, sabi natin, we set goals. So, by seeing the time allotment, learners will be able to set goals. Ay, paano ko pala titipakin itong module na to? Hahati-hatiin ko. And then, ano yung mga materials na kakailanganin ko? So, stated po dyan. Sa introduction, nakastate po ano yung meron natututunan ng bata for that particular task. No? Nakalagay din dyan, let's try this. In the let's try this, this is the actual activity na gagawain ng bata, na isasagawa niya. No? Nakalagay dito, paano niya isasagawa, ano ang laman ng mga activities na gagawin niya for that particular part. Then, matapos dyan, may processing questions na sasagutan ng bata doon sa batay sa mga nakaraan niyang ginawang activities sa let's try this. And then, possibly, this is a processing question. a learner may need assistance from the teacher. So dito siguro ko connect si teacher or si advisor or si guidance designate para mapagyaman yung learning ng bata dito sa processing question. And then on the explore part, this is the most critical part because this is the application part wherein the learner will be able to apply the learning task, no? Makikita niya dito kung ano nga ba yung discovery niya sa kanyang sarili, no? And with this module nakalagay dito ay for the explore part ay it's all about me activity. So dito na siya gagawa. Ito na yung kanyang application. At maaaring ito yung kanyang isasubmit kay teacher. Pinaka-final output niya. And with that, we commend the team of Ma'am Jonah for really working hard in crafting this particular materials on homeroom guidance. At nakakatuwa po dahil mula kinder hanggang grade 12, meron na tayong homeroom guidance most essential learning competencies. No? So, salamat po for the opportunity of joining with you this afternoon. I'd like to leave you with this quote, I never teach my pupils, I only provide conditions in which they can learn. So, hiniram po yan kay Albert Einstein. So, maraming salamat po. Kung kayo po ay may mga katanungan, ay maaari niyo pong isulat sa chat box at sasagutin po namin. Makaraan po ang lahat ng presentations this afternoon. Thank you very much. Carmen Aguas from the Bureau of Learning Delivery, Teaching and Learning Division.
Good afternoon, everyone. So we are now in junior high school level, particularly in grade 9. So we, as educators, guidance counselors, and guidance advocates, truly experiencing huge change and uncertainty at the moment. However, the importance of education remains consistent. That's why we're having these homeroom guidance modules to help our learners understand and still have that thought to continue striving to reach their beautiful tomorrow through our education. So in grade 9, we have this 20 modules from first quarter to fourth quarter with several number of sessions and time. Okay, so let me share to you and try to taste the relish of our module 1, which is entitled My Study Habits version 4.0. Despite this pandemic, we encourage earnestly our learners to continue gaining their knowledge and acquire skills, perhaps in this unconventional method and environment, but what matters most, they are all learning. The module will help them see the significant connection with their learning style and their study habits. So through the different activities, our learners will be able to know the level of their study skills and even can cite ways on how to strengthen effective study habits, which will serve as their guide to constantly improve their academic performance. So it is expected that at the end of the session, all of our learners will be able to explain how one's learning style affects study habits, assess one's study skills needed in effective facilitation of learning, and could be able to cite ways on how to strengthen effective study habits. So this module is good for 60 minutes. All right. So here we go to the motivational activity. This is entitled, Isipin mo, iguhit mo, magagawa mo. So using a bond paper and other coloring materials, they are encouraged to think one activity that they wanted to do. So here, they will motivate on how they can translate their thoughts and ideas into drawing. So this activity will let them realize how easy or difficult for them to translate. However, this will also be a window for them to be curious and to know more on what are the strategies and styles of learning. Okay, so next is the main activity. This is entitled Rank Your Senses. So here, our learners will have to analyze themselves in terms of the senses that they usually use to learn. They have to rank in a scale of 1 to 5. So 1 is the lowest and 5 is the highest. They have to rank their most used senses during learning sessions. After this activity, learners will know what senses they use to during learning session. So the result of this activity will be the springboard to the lecturate that explains more on the 7 different styles of learning or learners and the 3 main learning styles that most of them have the combination of it. They can say that they have a preferred method of processing information, but each type of learner has a dominant learning style. This speaks to the understanding that every learner learns differently. Technically, an individual learning style refers to preferential way in which the learner absorbs, processes, comprehends, and retains information. So during this pandemic situation, the common ways of teaching and learning could not be realized due to safety protocols that we have to observe. While one learner will always have a preferred learning style from others, knowing and learning the different learning styles and being able to apply them in appropriate situations will help the learner to adjust as we approach the new normal. So as they perform self-directed learning in the midst of this pandemic, with limited guidance from their teachers, parents, or guardians, this will be the best time for them to know what kind of learner they are and what learning style they prefer. They have to understand that their learning style should also match their study habit so they can continue to create an effective learning environment for themselves. Mainly since they will be learning from home for now. Okay, so if they know their preferred learning styles, they will also know strategies to incorporate in their study habits. So there are 11 good study habits that we'll introduce to them with helpful methods that they can use, especially in this time of pandemic. To introduce their learning style, develop a good study routine, and start achieving their educational goals even if they are learning from home. Okay, so let's proceed to the application part. This will help our learners learn a better understanding of themselves as a learner. So it is a helpful way to identify the study skills they can use. All they need to do is to determine carefully if they have the study skills that they need a boost. But they have to understand too that it is always beneficial to constantly improve their study skills. So this informal inventory is just a short and quick tool for assessing their study skills. This is not a test, therefore they are free to ask assistance from their parents or guardians. They just follow the directions given in the module on how to answer, do the scoring, and understand the interpretation of the results. All right? So next is the evaluation part. Learners will be able to understand here why they need to assess the study habit, and they could also cite ways on how to maintain or strengthen effective study routine. So the results connote positive implication of learning from the session. Okay, so let's proceed to the reflection part. This is share your thoughts and feelings. So learners will be asked on what are the things they learned about themselves after doing the study skill questionnaire. So this will be the total package or output that help our learners realize that knowing more about themselves as a learner will also be an effective key for an effective study habits which lead their way to a huge window of success. Okay, so there is also additional activity that given to them that will help them to contextualize their target goal, helping them to maintain their steady habits version 4.0. All right, so that ends our module. Hope you conceptualize something out from it and encourage you more to continue doing our mission, embracing one of our principles that every individual is important to the whole world. Thank you so much and God bless.
At kung kayo po ay may mga katanungan regarding po dito sa ating homeroom guidance program, pwede naman po kayong magtanong sa amin, sa inyong mga guidance teacher, katulad po sa grade 7 natin, yung kanina pong nagsalita, si Sir Ray Dehanyo para sa grade 7. Sa grade 8 naman po ay si Sir Doncilio. Sa grade 9 naman po ay si Ma'am Ginto. At sa grade 10 naman po ay ako, si Ma'am Polintang po. And syempre din po sa tulong ng ating ibang mga guidance personnel, nandyan po sila Sir Panggito, sila Ma'am Kalaw, and syempre po yung ating guidance coordinator, si Sir Soberano. So pwede nyo po kaming i-PM, and then afterwards din po, we encourage din po na magkaroon ng different group page or group chat yung iba't ibang grade level para po mas lalo nating madirect yung mga tanong natin doon. At kung meron pa po kayong ibang mga tanong ay pwede rin po nating i-comment sa ating mga comment box. So sana po ay tulong-tulong po natin na matapos ang buong isang taon na ito ng may galak sa puso at malubog po nating matanggap ang challenge na ito para sa ating new norm. So magandang araw po. Para po sa ating last at closing remarks, inaanyayahan po natin ang ating ulong guro, si Sir Henry C. Dunson.
Magandang araw po sa inyong lahat. Bilang pagtatapos, ay nais ko lang po na magpasalamat sa mga sumusunod. So una po, sa pagbibigay ng panahon para suportahan ang ating pong guidance program, katulad po nito. Sa aming pong mahal na punong guro, Ma'am Lerma Vipenya. Siyempre sa mga technical na tumulong para maisagawa po ito, ang mga ICT teachers sa pangunguna po ni Ma'am Mean Villarreal. Siyempre ang ating mga guidance teachers and guidance coordinator sa ngalan po ng ating Sir J.R. Soberano Jr. Maraming salamat dahil sa inyo ito ay naging matagumpay na ating naidaos at nawa ay marami po tayong mapulot sa mga impormasyon na ibinigay ng ating mga guidance teachers. So magbigay lang po ako ng ilang mga informasyon tungkol sa homeroom. So, kapag sinabi nating homeroom ay napakahalaga po nito. Lalong-lalo na po sa ating mga kabataan ngayon. So, sabi nga, ang homeroom ay kasing halaga ng mga bata. So, ano ba ito? Ito po ay isang activity na kung saan ay sa pamamagitan po ng ating mga advisors, mga teachers, siyempre nandiyan yung ating mga magulang, ay ito po ang magiging direksyon nila para maging kompleto po ang kanilang mga pag-develop sa kanilang mga skills. So, sabi nga kanina sa opening ng ating mahal na punong guro, so this is a lifelong learning. So totoo po yun. So sa pamamagitan po ng homeroom na ito o yung homeroom guidance, lalong-lalo na po sa panahon natin ngayon ng pandemya, ay napaka-importante po nito dahil ang pandemya po ay isang balakid na po pwedeng bumara o humarang sa magandang kinabukasan ng ating mga kabataan. Pero hindi po hadlang yan sa DepEd family dahil ito po ay ginawa ng paraan sa pamamagitan ng homeroom guidance. Ay isa po ito sa mga po pwedeng makatulong sa mga kabataan, lalong-lalo na po yung nagiging under pressure ng pandemyang ito. Dahil sa mga murang edad ay nandyan yung medyo mahina pa sila, pero sa pamamagitan nito ay makatutulong ito para may pagpatuloy nila yung kanilang pagpupunyagi, lalong-lalo na pagdating ng kanilang college time. So bagamat may senior high school ngayon, ay nandyan simula po iyon ng baitang para sa kanilang paghahanda sa kanilang mga kurso na kukunin. Kaya sa pamamagitan ng homeroom guidance na ito ay malaki po ang maitutulong sa ating mga kabataan. Kaya muli, maraming salamat po sa lahat ng tumulong, lahat ng sumuporta, at naway magtulong-tulong po tayo. Wala pong mawawala kung ang lahat po ay sama-sama na magtutulong-tulong sa ikaunlad ng ating mga pag-asa ng bayan, ang ating mga kabataan. Muli, maraming salamat at magandang araw po sa inyong lahat.